Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? That kind of, like, I've got quite a few photos that I'm really pleased with, and you sometimes show somebody one of them, there's just nothing there. But it's this. I had this conversation the other day. I had it quite a lot recently. I suppose it's coming out of that, what we were talking about, the inspiration thing, and feeling generally shit about my photography. But one of the things that I've realised deep down, I think everybody probably knows it. All of us photographers, we probably think the value of our photos is in the things that we value the most. So that really nice waterfall shot that you've got, we as photographers probably think that's where our value is. But actually, what I've realised is that the massive majority of the photos that I take that I like are basically for me. And the photos that have the most value are the photos that I take of my kids. Not because those photos are any better, it's just that as images, they have more value because other people like them, because they're photos of their child, in the case of my wife, or their grandchildren, or their nieces or nephews or whatever. I don't have boys, but do you know what I mean? It's photography that has the most value is actually, and I create a photo book once a year, and I've done it for the last 4 years, and I don't print very much of my work. But once a year, just before Christmas, I'll make a photo book of the girls that I give to my wife as a Christmas present. And I just put photos of my kid. It's actually for me, basically, but she you know, it's and we have these photo books, one a year for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And those photos have value because they're photos that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. So, and I did something the other day that I know that people will just, like, people would be absolutely aghast at, but I threw away basically most of my negatives because they don't have any value. Like, I've got the digitised versions of them on the internet. If I want to do something with those photos, I've got digitised versions of them that will print good enough for me to be satisfied with them.
I think that's a dangerous game because I think that there is an element of not knowing the value of something at this current point in time.
But I agree with you, but I think that
not the value, the importance of something or the relevance of something to something in the future.
There's so much, and this is, and I on many levels I agree with you, and I don't want this to sound like I'm saying you're arrogant, but there's an arrogance in that view that I feel quite strongly about not having. Like, I think that personally, I think it's a really good thing to appreciate the lack of value in what you do, because...
But it's only arrogant if you... This is the catch, isn't it? Because it's arrogant if you think about that about your own work, but if I talk about it about your work, then that's different. So maybe you should have given it to me. Everyone
Here's
should,
all of my negatives. You have all of my
should
negatives.
swap their work around to detach from that belief that your own work is going to be important in the future. Because I think that has arrogance attached to it, definitely, or like maybe self-belief that it is going to be important in the future. But for me to say your work might be important in the future, you don't know.
But equally, I don't care.
Oh, okay. So it's your work, so you can do what the hell you want.
If I want to throw away all my negatives or delete all my raw files, which I periodically do as well, I've got all of the photos that I give a shit about are on Flickr, and I upload them to Flickr in good enough file size that I can download them and print them if I want to. And I do that once a year of all the photos of my girls, and those are the photos I only give a shit about. These are the only photos I give a shit about. So as I say, I've got these 4 books.
So what, like, have you thrown away negatives of your girls as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's bonkers. Like, because it's the ultimate backup, isn't it?
But I don't feel like I need the backup because I've got the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is simultaneously Flickr implodes and my house burns down. If Flickr implodes and my house burns down, I mean, you know, I'm gonna have some pretty significant things to be dealing with. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I suppose.
It's this kind of, we have, as photographers, we have this approach where we kind of just, I think, attribute too much value to too many actual physical things. Like, if simultaneously my house burned down with both of my girls in it, and Flickr happened to be hosted on a computer in my house which exploded, and I lost my girls and all of my photos of them, I'd be mortified. But there's the chance of that happening.
and realistically, you probably wouldn't give a shit about the photos, would you? Because like your concern would be the fact that you'd lost your girls.
Yes,
you know? So
and
actually,
I have what's up here.
Yeah.
And I think
okay.
This is perhaps some of what, I don't know, this is again, I mean, we were talking earlier about the different strands to why I've been so uninspired recently. And I think this is perhaps a part of it, is that I realise how much I don't value what I do. So, but I wrote this article on the blog recently where on holiday there was three sets of photos almost that I took on holiday. There was photos I took with a Mamiya 7 of the beach, which were, couldn't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
There was photos I took with a Pentax SBO80 that I wanted to review. So I was taking photos of my kids on the beach because I want to have photos of my kids on the beach, but also in the back of my mind that I'm going to write about the camera.
Yeah.
And then there was photos that I took, 2 or 3 photos that I took at the end of the holiday when the girls were on a trampoline and the light was perfect. I'd got Ektachrome in the camera and it was evening light.
Yeah.
So evening light and Ektachrome is the most glorious thing in the world as far as I'm concerned. It's beautiful. So I took one photo of Connie bouncing on a trampoline and one photo of Nora sat on the steps. In that moment when I took those photos, everything felt like it had come together. I'd got the light, I'd got the film, I'd got the camera that I was happy with, and it was like a moment of pure inspiration. And the photos came out and they're lovely. I really care about those photos because there was a moment of kind of the sort of combination of inspiration and.
Would you ever throw those negatives away?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Shit.
Because I've got them digitised.
You're brutal.
But they don't. But once they're digitised,
like
by Christmas they will be in a book.
So that whole process of like getting to the point where you're like with the camera, you've got the film, everything's right. For me, that has a huge attachment to that physical object, and that's the connection. Because for me, as soon as something goes digital, I just don't give a shit about it. Like I've got no attachment because it can be duplicated infinite times, identical. Like it's got no value for me at that point. It's the physical object and that translation to other physical objects. And I think printing from digital, that's like a different matter because then you're then back to a tangible object, which to me creates that connection again. But that physical connection for me is where the value comes, I guess.
But I think this is where I find myself, and this is actually probably, this is quite an interest. I mean, we're stood in your darkroom, and I think when I was here last time, we had a conversation about you as a darkroom photographer and me as somebody who just a hybrid or whatever you want to call it. I just digitise my files. I'd love to have a darkroom. I probably will do. I've said a couple of times on the internet I'm going to retire into a darkroom. But for me, that's not about any sort of increased value in anything. It's just the pure activity of it. What is the need for value? What is the?
Well, let's define value.
Exactly. Well, exactly. What defines value? And it's very nice to think that what we do might have value somewhere further down the line. But as I say, I've detached myself from that idea because it doesn't do anything for me. There is nothing. It doesn't sort of. Considering the possibility that my work might have value to some future generation does nothing for me. It doesn't improve my photography. It doesn't motivate me. It doesn't inspire me. As I say, and I think this is where somebody who spends a lot of time in the darkroom and somebody who doesn't probably differ, despite the fact that we both fundamentally favour analogue photography. I favour it, I think, because I enjoy the process of taking photos with cameras that feel like they're not bullshit. Do you know what I mean? These things that Will's using, they're just buttons and gadgets, whereas like the cameras I like are things like this that I know there's no buttons and gadgets. It's just something.
Yeah, they're so modern, aren't
they?
Yes,
There's great kit and it does an amazing job, but it's not. There's no. So I, as an analog photographer, I think I appreciate the process because of that end of the scale, and don't really value the photos,
the final product.
I do value it in as much as I say. The value for me is when I take a nice photo of my kids. But obviously, as somebody who spends a lot of time in a dark room, the value in it is the solid, tangible thing that you create. Yeah.
I've never thought of it like that. I don't know why I'm attracted to what I do. I think this is the thing. Is like when you start unraveling what you do and why you do these things. I know how I got here and why I kind of went down the route of doing things all analog, but now I'm kind of in a place where I just don't see doing it any other way. Which I guess is like part of the hybrid workflow, isn't it? It's like you get stuck in routines with things, and I'm equally stuck in my routine as you are with your, like, right, you get your digital files and then that's it. That's create the yearly book. Yeah. But that's it. That's what you do with it. So I think, like, talking about inspiration, like an inspirational thing to do, like, it's good to try different things out. Yeah, well, ultimately, isn't it?
This is one of the reasons I like making these. Or so far, I've enjoyed making these videos. Is obviously the conversations, but it has really occurred to me, and this is why I said to you, let's talk about inspiration. Let's talk about what creates it and what stops it, and all that sort of stuff. Because coming here to make some photos, to make some 5x4 photos, is something that I don't do, and I'm quite looking forward to. For everything that I've just said, I did a darkroom course at AG, and I printed a photo up there that, because it was my first ever print. Yeah. Or it wasn't my first ever, but there's loads of other shit ones that I did previous, but this particular one that I ended up with, that I really like, I'm really pleased with. And it does have some value because it's a thing that I made, if you see what I mean. Yeah. But I don't know whether or not.
That's possibly just because it is the first one.
Yeah.
Done, isn't it? Yeah, like
or either that, or everything I've just said is bollocks, and I haven't spent enough time in a dark room. If I spent enough time in the dark room, maybe I would learn to find more value in my photos. But then this is the thing: I've thrown away all my negatives. So clearly, I don't have. Clearly, there's something different in my brain when it comes to.
Why did you throw them up? Were you like, did you need more space, or did you just think, I can't be bothered I've got all this scanned in?
Yeah, I've done the thing that I need to do with them.
Right. Okay.
So
the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that, is there? No. Like, that's what you do at the time. Like, I've deleted files digitally before thinking, I'll never need that again, and then behold, just like, oh shit.
But I just don't. The thing is it's the second or third time I've done it, and I've never had that oh shit moment.
Shot a wedding at the weekend on film, and I'm processing all the film at the moment, and my head state as I'm processing it is thinking, I should just shoot on digital. Why the fuck am I doing this? And then the print comes out as a tangible thing. I'm just like, I kind of want to give this to the bride and groom, because this actually was created on their wedding day. And I love that element of it. It's like it's an actual physical object, but not in like a materialistic way. It's like there's a connection between the image that's formed on that medium and that point. But now I'm starting to sound really wanky and like. I mean, this is which is the route you go down when you try and justify what you do.
Exactly that. And why? But why do we don't? Why should we justify it? M has that series of this. I'm so and so, and this is why I shoot film. And I did that, and I said in there, like.
I'm supposed to be doing one. But I'm sorry, I haven't got around to it.
I am a wanker. This is why I like taking photos. It's all justifications for something when it just comes down. I just like doing it. Just like doing it. I'm just happy doing it. So why make it any more complicated? So I think you might have almost been referring to this a minute ago. When, do you remember that Craig guy posted a photo of a waterfall on Twitter?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And that guy kicked off saying it's just the same as every other waterfall photo. Yeah. And then screen grabbed black and white Google search for black and white waterfall photos and posted it under his, saying, "Why is it any different to this?" Yeah. And it's like, and that's where that goes back to my point about. He's right in a way that the photo that Craig had created doesn't really have any value because it's no different to any other. Why is that waterfall photo got any more value than any of the other 400 million waterfall photos? And the answer to the question is that because Craig liked taking it. It's because in that moment he enjoyed that process, and that goes back full circle to my point. The value is not necessarily in all of these photos that we create. It's the value is in doing the thing that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's your personal experience.
Which is why you like being in. You like making photos in a dark room. That's where the
I like
value
being
is.
alone. No one
That's
else is around.
Yeah.
Put the music on.
That's it.
It's a great environment.
And that's why I'm not worried about chucking away my negatives, because the value was in the process of creating those things and doing it, not in the end result.
Should we load some film then?
Should we load some film? Let's load some film, yeah.